They have actually, that I know of, called the cops on 2 of their authors. But this is the kind of thing that Publish America does all the time. They harass their own authors. They start smear campaigns against their own authors. They're just an incredibly abusive company.
This is Ron Pramshafer, and welcome to Publish Basics Radio, where weekly we try to help you navigate the self-publishing minefield. Well, Jenna, you introduced all the idea in your book of a new type of publisher here. You call it a fringe publisher.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, explain to me what a fringe publisher
Sure.
is.
The best example that I have of a fringe publisher, not best meaning the one that encompasses the definition, the best, not that they're best in terms of quality, is Publish America. And that is a publisher that these fringe publishers don't charge up front. They don't make you pay, $200, $300, $500 to get the book published. However, their business model relies on you buying your own books. So while they're not charging you up front, they're charging you on the back end. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
The problem with Publish America, the reason that's the one that I have the biggest problem with, because they're so deceptive in their advertising, and they make themselves sound like a conventional commercial publisher, because they say, no, we don't want your money, we want your book. We'll even pay you a symbolic $1 advance. We're very selective. We reject 80% of submissions, and Publish America books have just the same chance as any other book of winding up on a bookstore shelf. None of that is true. None of it.
Yeah, no, I'll be honest. I mean, I think I'm pretty good with spotting scams and all. I mean, people call me all the time on companies. I got hooked by this one.
Mm-hmm.
And someone asked me, but it's going back a couple of years ago. And I looked it up, and I'm looking for the hook. Like, what is,
right.
And I finally told him, I said, well, as long as they're not asking for a long-term contract, nothing in, nothing out. I say, even if everything they said is a lie, if you're not paying anything, the worst you can do is not get anything, as long as there's not a contract involved. Now, I found out later that they came from a lifetime contract.
Yep.
Now they're down to like a 7-year contract.
Mm-hmm.
And what?
Yeah, you're so right.
Oh, it's wild. I mean, there's 3 or 4 sites that I know of, and all that. It seems like their entire mission in life is to bring doom and gloom on Publish America. And I look at it. I mean, are they really that bad?
Oh, yes, they are. They've deserved all the doom and gloom that is being wished their way right now. Because with the other publishers, okay, look at the fact that when you started doing your radio interviews here, and you have a great series of the different POD presses, they were willing to at least speak to you. And I think that speaks well for them. I have respect for anyone who actually did an interview with you and was willing to answer some of these tough questions that you were asking.
Mm-hmm.
Publish America will not do that. They are built on deception. They're built on, this is absolutely purposeful, very purposeful, the way that they deceive writers. And with the other companies, I feel like, yes, they puff up some of their advertising. Yes, they make, slightly puffed up claims. But I don't honestly think that their intention is, hey, how can we screw writers today? With Publish America, I honestly feel like these are vindictive and abusive and strange people who have way crossed the line as far as their deceptiveness and abuse to their own authors. They do hold them to these 7-year contracts. So an author who's unhappy with the fact that they found out that, oops, Publish America lied, I really can't get into bookstores because no bookstore will take a Publish America book. Not that, I should correct that, not that no bookstore anywhere. I'm sure that there are authors who walk into their local bookstores and beg, and the manager agrees to stock a couple of copies because it's a local author and they're trying to do something nice. But on the whole, we've actually received letters from Barnes & Noble saying that it is corporate policy not to stock Publish America books or any other of the print-on-demand company books. Not one Publish America book has made it into national bookstore chains. Not one.
That's it. Well, that's pretty definitive.
Yeah.
And we have tried to get the Publish America people on, and you're right, as of this moment, we haven't, had any luck with getting them on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try it one more time. But, I mean, even in my own business, I guarantee you I'd probably, piss 2 people a year off to the point where if you found them, they might tell you I'm like this miserable guy.
Right, but you're not going to find hundreds of them all over the web saying, I hope that Publish America goes down and they're evil.
Although if they do 10,000 titles, 1% would be 100 people.
Yeah, there's
and
more
1%
than that.
don't seem that bad. But yet, everything I'm reading, I would love to get them on the phone.
Mm-hmm. Here's where some of the hate comes from. They have actually, that I know of, I'm sure that there's more than this, but they have called the cops on 2 of their authors.
You're kidding.
2 of their own authors.
For doing what?
Okay, the first one was a guy named Kevin Yarbrough had submitted a manuscript. He was trying to prove that Publish America is not as selective as it claims. Publish America has claimed that they reject 80% of the manuscripts sent their way. And we knew that this was not true because many of us who are in this kind of fight against Publish America have seen the quality of Publish America books. There's no way they're rejecting 80%. So he went and submitted the same 30 pages copied over and over again. They accepted it. And then he laughed about it on a couple of message boards and said, haha, look, they just accepted this book that it's not even a book. I just copied the same 30 pages over and over again. Obviously, they didn't read it. And of course, he was right. That was an excellent way to prove exactly what he's saying here, that they're not being selective, not even reading what's coming their way before accepting it. They then called the cops and had the cops show up to his house to say that he's committed fraud. Now, keep in mind, they accepted it. How is it his fault that they chose to make idiots out of themselves by accepting the manuscript? The next one was just somebody who was begging and begging to be released from his contract. And all he did was send a bunch of emails saying, please let me out of this contract. Please either lower the price of my book because I can't get bookstores to stock it because they're all saying that it's overpriced. Lower the price of my book, or please let me out of this contract, again and again. And they did the same thing. They called the cops on him and tried to have him arrested for harassment. Luckily, the cops saw right through that and said this is ridiculous, and the evidence that they were showing was ridiculous, and they dropped it. But this is the kind of thing that Publish America does all the time. They harass their own authors. They start smear campaigns against their own authors. It's bizarre. They're just an incredibly abusive company.
But, I was just at their website. Hell, they got a big Better Business Bureau logo there.
I have no idea how they did that.
Better Business Bureau logo, and it said they had 29 complaints.
Yeah, that's not even close to accurate. I have no idea how they did this. They somehow erased the slate because the Better Business Bureau had them as not recommended last year. And somehow they re-registered. They were Publish America LLC. Then they re-registered as Publish America Inc. And somehow the Better Business Bureau gave them back a satisfactory rating. I don't know how they managed it.
So where do we go from here? We talk about that it's okay to, there are reasons to self-publish or even use a vanity publisher, but yet you don't want people to fall into the wrong one.
Right.
What do you think?
I want them to go in with the right expectation.
What do you think that can be done to help authors figure out which ones to avoid?
I would just suggest doing a ton of research before you go with any one company. It's, like I said, it's so tempting to, when you get that first acceptance letter, even if it's from a vanity press, when you get that first letter saying, we're going to give your book the chance it deserves, it is so easy to say yes and sign on that dotted line. But you really have to resist that temptation and do research on any one of these publishers and listen to things like the interviews that you've got now where they're quoting numbers. They're telling you what the averages are of how many books each author has sold. If you're happy selling 100 books, 200 books total, then you might not mind going with a vanity press. Maybe that's not your goal. Maybe your goal is just to have something to give to your family members and friends or pass around your company or whatever. That's fine. If you're looking to make a dent in commercial sales and you want your book to be available to the public in bookstores, in libraries, then POD presses are not for you. None of them. None of them are for you. Conventional self-publishing could be for you. There are some self-publishers who do make it onto bookstore shelves and or make significant sales. But if you want the best shot at seeing commercial success, your best bet is to go with a commercial publisher. And that can take a lot more time, a lot more patience, a lot more working on your craft. So it's not a business to be impatient at all. And that's something that frustrates me a great deal is when I see people who say, well, I got 3 rejection letters. Forget these publishers. I'm just going to go with a POD press. And, that frustrates me because I feel like this could be an excellent book. I have no idea.
You think there's any chance that the industry will try to regulate itself? Different industries have like codes of ethics and things that all people follow. The vanity press has been around forever, and there's always going to be bad ones. Do you think there's any chance of ever putting together some sort of set of standards that, minimum standards so, you can at least point your your authors to, well, at least if they've got this particular seal or they're approved by X. I mean, I don't even know. I'm just thinking out loud here.
That's a great idea. Honestly, that's a great idea. I don't think it would happen only because most vanity presses want to distance themselves from one another.
Mm-hmm.
They're often trying to say, well, this company is dishonest or this company doesn't really get your book on bookstore shelves, but we will. But I think it's a great idea.
So is there any part of publishing that's scam-free?
I doubt it. There are unscrupulous people at every turn in the whole writing field, unfortunately. And so it can all look extremely foreboding and extremely dangerous. But the truth is that the majority of people in this business are not scammers. It's just that the ones who are good at it, and they're good at luring in a lot of people who never get to the legitimate people because they're first lured in by all these scammers. The legitimate people are not the ones advertising on Google AdWords. They're not the ones with the big flashing banner ads, new writers wanted, come here, come here. They're harder to find. If you're looking to be legitimately published, don't wait for a big flashing neon sign saying, I want you, come here, new writer. You have to do the research yourself to find these agents and publishers because they're not desperate for new writers at all. They get inundated with submissions as it is.
But there is light. I mean, there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a wonderful field to be in. And now after saying that I've been scammed so many times, I have a wonderful career. I have 18 books that I've written at this point and magazine articles and greeting cards and all kinds of things. And there are so few agents and editors and whatnot along my path along the way compared to how many legitimate ones I've encountered, that it's a wonderful career.
All right. Well, Jenna, thank you very much for being with me today.
Thank you.
Okay, I hope you come back on again another day.
I'd love to. Thanks so much for all that you're doing to help educate writers.
For Publishing Basics Radio, this is Ron Pramshafer. See you next week.
This program is produced by Jack Street Media as part of the affiliate Nanocasting Network. Thanks for listening.